Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today is a really exciting day. In fact, I want to say that I've waited somewhere in the ballpark of 3 years for today to come. What do I mean? Today, we're going to build the ultimate tiny whoop. My journey with this started quite some time ago. Pretty much all the way back when Jesse P strapped a camera on an Inductrix, sent it out into the world, and called it a tiny whoop. Well, here we go. Here's my Inductrix. This is what essentially started it all. The only thing that's different from stock is it's got the E-Sheen red motors in it. And these things were awesome. They flew great, except, let's face it, tiny whoops have been really underpowered for a long time. But I think this area of the industry has progressed faster than anything else. So this was great, but it's long since retired, so in the trash it goes. While desiring a better tiny whoop, I built this thing. And this is definitely one of the first 2S brushless tiny whoops that the world has ever seen. I had to get creative putting the pieces together for this, but it too has quite a few shortcomings. The electronics and the motors are very inefficient, so it's incredibly power hungry. The motors don't make enough power, and it's too heavy, so all three of those things create, essentially, a fatal flaw. Even though I love flying this thing, it still isn't what I've desired, so in the trash it goes. And that brings me to, somewhere around the end of last year, when we actually had a pretty significant breakthrough with these things that was seen by a company called Happy Model via maybe a Mobula 7. What a lot of guys were doing, and I did too, I took the guts of the Mobula 7, jammed it in a 65mm frame, and this thing by far has been my favorite tiny whoop. It flies awesome, the power is great, actually the power to weight ratio I think is perfect. This thing almost has the perfect ratio of feeling like a 5-inch, and I absolutely love it. And it's literally just a Mobula 7 jammed in a 65mm frame. Except this one too has some shortcomings. And that's the quality of components coming from Happy Model. The flight controller from my Mobula has been flaked out ever since the beginning. It'll literally just lock up when I'm flying and the thing will just dead soldier into the ground. Not a lot of fun when you're tiny whooping. So, love this whoop, love the way it flies. Don't like the inconsistency in the hardware and the unreliability of the flight controller. So guess what? That one too is going to go in the trash. I've thrown all the old stuff out. Let's look at the new stuff. Before we get into the overhead, I want to start with more of a tip. You guys are buying batteries. I think the batteries from Newbie Drone, the Nitro Nectar, 250 milliamp, great bang for the buck. These are more or less my go-to whooping battery, but here's the catch. If you buy 2 6-packs instead of 1 12-pack, the 2 6-packs cost a penny less, but you get 2 travel cases. You can keep 1 case for yourself, give the other to your buddy, keep both for yourself. I don't know, use one as a stash box. Doesn't matter. I love boxes. Buy 2 6-packs. You get 2 boxes. That's double your fun. So there's your first tip. For my frame, I have selected the Beta FPV 65mm 2S frame. You can see it's got a compartment on the bottom to hold 2 batteries. I like this frame, it's durable, it works good. Just so happens this one I've dyed black. I believe you can purchase these in black, but this one I dyed myself. Also, on this frame, I have pre-fit it with a CROSSFIRE antenna, because of course the ultimate tiny whoop is going to get a CROSSFIRE receiver. This one I'm going to recycle from an older build. So that's the frame with CROSSFIRE. Awesome! I've got a couple of parts from Tiny Whoop. FX 950 TW camera, the Tiny Whoop FX 905 camera. Absolutely my favorite whooping camera. The only difference is this one has a 200 milliwatt VTX, so how can you go wrong with that? Little instruction sheet. This one I have pre-gamed a little bit. I've already cut the video wire so I can inject my OSD into the camera. Of course I got a little extra slack there, I'll cut that off when I do the install. I like to throw a little bit of heat shrink on the antenna, on the stinger back here, help give a little bit of extra protection. And I make sure that heat shrink actually goes all the way up onto the circuit board of the camera, just to hold everything together a little better and give it a little more protection. In my case, my camera did not come with a mount. So I reached out to Tiny Whoop, and good old Mike Chin got back to me, and he's like, hey dude, I'll get you a mount, no problem. What angle do you want? And well, I was like, shoot, if I get my choice, I might as well pick a 20 because I've never tried a 20-degree camera mount and a Tiny Whoop before. Then Mike emails me back and he goes, well, I'm going to send you all three. So a 10, a 20, and a 30. I've got lots of options here to choose. But I bring this up because I want to make a point. If you didn't get what you're expecting from a company or you feel they owe you something, just reach out to them. They're probably going to take care of you. A lot of these great companies that we work with, if they realize that they've made a mistake, they're probably going to hook you up. Look at my example here. Tiny Whoop, great company. I love you guys. I'll be a customer for life. And the last item from Tiny Whoop is this sparkly Canopy. I don't even know how to describe this. It's kind of like a charcoal black, but almost a rainbow purpley sparkle. I don't know if I move it around, maybe you can see it in the light, but this thing is beautiful, and I think it's going to look great being kind of this gunmetal like sparkle. I just can't even describe it, but it's nice. I like it. I'm real happy with this Canopy. I think it's going to look awesome on the build. So Canopy from Tiny Whoop, lots of awesome designs. Be sure to check them out. As we move along, we're going to start getting into the products from Banggood. This is the LDARC F411 E12A Tiny Whoop flight controller. I think you could probably also use this for like a pixel build. The ESCs in here are pretty beefy. Let's see what we got. Looks like we have a pigtail for our receiver, some screws and grommets. I'm not going to use this hardware. I'm going to use conventional Tiny Whoop style grommets. So these I'm just going to get rid of. Let's get the flight controller out. Take a look at this bugger. Flight controller is out. So it looks like for preparation, we're going to have to remove all these leads. The XT30 battery lead I do not want because, well, I'm not running XT30 batteries. Looks like we also have a nice camera connection here. I am going to pull this off as well because I'm going to be installing the camera from Tiny Whoop. And a big motivating factor behind selecting this flight controller is it does have 2 full UARTs. I love UARTs. I'd rather have basic functionality in a flight controller, but multiple UARTs to be able to expand. I believe I should have no problem hooking up CROSSFIRE. Again, so here's the flight controller from LDARC. To replace the power lead on that flight controller, I've just simply got the 2S lead from the Ishin trash can. I do have the tools to crimp these ends, but the reason I requested this particular lead is I feel this is the most common situation as to how you guys are going to be building. So I got the stock lead. I want you to know it's available. We're just going to solder this guy up on the flight controller in place of the XT30. The old motors. Oh, look at this. This is the 2 motors stuck together. That's one nacho. It's funny. So for motors, I have selected 3B Hobby 8028 motors, 16,000 kV, and the reason I pick these motors is they're supposed to have the efficiency of 802s, but be able to produce the same power and torque of 803s. This is supposed to be a good, efficient compromise, while also desiring the max amount of power. We'll see. Let's get this out. Comes with some screws. Looks like we've got a couple extra. That is awesome. These tiny screws are way too easy to lose. The motor. There's the motor. Oh, look at this. Pretty tiny little thing. I've looked at these motors in advance, and I'm going to say for a tiny little motor, these are probably the nicest that I've seen as far as construction goes. They've even got a little bit of glue or adhesive holding the wires to the base of the stator here. Long term we'll see, but right now they feel nice. They're very clicky. They're just beautiful to look at. The construction's great. To me, they almost look like a baby purple hype train, especially looking at the design on the top of the motor. Can't wait to try these guys. And last but not least, we'll take a look at the props. I just went with the 31mm tri-blades from Gemfan. I'm a fan of these props. I like them because they're incredibly durable. I'm not going to call them the most efficient. I'm not going to call them the smoothest props out there, but I'm going to call them incredibly durable. I have smashed and smashed and smashed and smashed these things. They always come back for more. Typically, worst case scenario, I'll bend a blade, it bends right back, no problem, and I'll just send the tiny whoop back out into the world again. That's why I've selected these props, because I think they last forever. There's my collection of parts for the Ultimate Tiny Whoop build 2019. Fingers crossed, I'm really hoping this thing works out. In the next video, we're going to do the build, and in the third and final follow-up video, I'm going to do an overview and my thoughts all together with everything, and we'll also have a little bit of flight footage in that one as well. I want to say thank you to Tiny Whoop for getting me straightened out with my camera. I also want to say thank you to Banggood for providing the majority of the parts for this particular build. But that's it. That's all I got for today. I need to get this thing together. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.